We look at the residence hall policies of area colleges and universities.
President Biden says he supports mandatory vaccinations for members of the military. I'm Deborah Alfarone at the White House with the latest on that, plus the growing number of children being hospitalized as COVID numbers continue to rise.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
College students start moving into dorm rooms ahead of the new semester. This is KOAM News at 5. Athletes, band members, and certain other students move into their dorm rooms early at Pitt State. Before moving in, students have to show they've been vaccinated, prove they've had the virus recently, had a negative test, or get tested. Once they get in, students get their own dorm rooms unless they want to have a roommate. If a student tests positive and has to quarantine, they'll have to leave campus during the quarantine period.
They will go home or they'll go to a friend's house. I mean, they make those arrangements by and large on their own. But if there were an extreme situation, then of course the university would do whatever we could do to help out.
Around 950 students will live on campus at PSU this fall. Tonight at 6, we're going to hear from one of those students and hear how Crowder College plans to handle students living on campus during the pandemic. Victory Life Church in Pittsburgh is helping kids prepare to head back to school. The church today hosted their back to school event where they gave out free haircuts and back to school supplies. Everyone was welcome at the event, but you had to sign up for a haircut to get the supplies. You do still have time to check out the event. It runs until 7 this evening. Checking in with Chris Warner now for a first look at the weather.
Well, now it's been awfully hot out there, and unfortunately that heat is going to stick around. It's here to stay for the next few days. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing us nothing. You can't see the heat on the radar, but trust me, it is out there. In fact, on the radar, you have to zoom out pretty far to see anything. There's some storms up in the Dakotas, southern Canada, and even some tornado warnings out in northern Illinois around Chicago. But that's the extent of any kind of weather remotely close to us. What we do have going on is a heat advisory, and that is going to actually take us all the way through Thursday. This says Monday 9 p.m., but I promise this is through Thursday at 8 p.m., and even some excessive heat warnings for parts of northeast Oklahoma. We're going to break down the complete forecast and when there might be some relief coming up.
All right, catch you soon. The Senate reconvened today, inching closer to final passage on a $1.2 trillion infrastructure package. It would include $550 billion in new spending for the nation's physical infrastructure like roads, bridges, and broadband. Senators are expected to vote on the bill tomorrow morning, and the bill is expected to pass with robust bipartisan support. An alarming new surge in COVID cases is overwhelming many hospitals in the South. And the debate over whether students should wear masks in the classroom is taking center stage throughout the country. Deborah Alfarone reports from the White House.
When it comes to encouraging young people to get vaccinated, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and Education Secretary Miguel Cardona are helping to lead the charge. Monday, they toured a vaccine clinic at Topeka High School in Kansas.
Look, just get the vaccination. Help yourself, help others, and move on so we can get back to the lives that we want to get back to.
The National Institutes of Health says more than 1,400 kids across the country are now hospitalized with COVID, the highest number ever recorded.
You are all playing such an important role in this fight.
President Biden's top medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says schools need to require masks in the fall, but local and state officials remain divided.
For the government to mask children who have no choice is the wrong thing to do.
President Biden says he strongly supports Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's plan to make the COVID-19 vaccine mandatory for all active military troops by the fall or sooner if approved by the FDA. In a memo to DoD employees, Defense Secretary Austin wrote in part, "To defend this nation, we need a healthy and ready force. I strongly encourage all DoD military and civilian personnel, as well as contractor personnel, to get vaccinated now." In Louisiana, COVID hospitalizations are at an all-time high. At Baton Rouge General Hospital, almost all of the COVID patients are unvaccinated, like 61-year-old Douglas Allen.
You can't move. because you don't have the strength.
The CDC says about 61% of U.S. adults are fully vaccinated. The Biden administration expects the vaccines to be fully approved by the FDA this month. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
Over the weekend, the president of the second largest teachers union changed her mind and now supports mandatory vaccinations for teachers to help protect kids who are too young to get vaccinated. New York state legislators are meeting today to discuss their impeachment investigation into Governor Andrew Cuomo. The meeting comes the day after his top aide announced she's resigning following a report from the state attorney general that says Cuomo sexually harassed 11 women. Cuomo denies all allegations of misconduct and rejected new calls for his resignation. The Taliban is rapidly changing its offense in Afghanistan. They've shifted from the countryside to taking cities. The Taliban today took control of a sixth provincial capital. The Taliban's offensive kicked into high gear as the U.S. and other foreign forces pulled out. Afghanistan's ambassador is asking the UN for help. Still ahead, a rise in prohibited items found by airport security.
From water bottles to ammo, I'm Max McGee with the items TSA is catching at checkpoints.
And next in Health Watch, a look at how postpartum depression can affect new fathers as well as mothers. Topping today's Health Watch, a new study offers more evidence of the importance of vaccination, showing that they can cut the risk of COVID-19 reinfection in half. The research published by the CDC shows that the vaccine protects better than natural immunity from a previous coronavirus infection. In the study, people who got COVID-19 in 2020 and weren't vaccinated afterwards were more likely to be reinfected in May or June of 2021. Researchers say they were more than twice as likely to get sick again compared to people who had COVID but were later fully vaccinated. Europe's drug regulator is recommending that 3 more reactions be added as possible side effects of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. The committee says low blood platelets, dizziness, and ringing in the ears should all be added to the label, but they found no links between COVID vaccines and menstrual disorders. A new treatment for pancreatic cancer is expected to go into clinical trials in the fall. The disease is difficult to treat because tumors often become resistant to chemotherapy. Researchers at MIT say a therapy combining 3 drugs may shrink or eliminate tumors and prevent them from regrowing after treatment stops. New research highlights postpartum depression impacts mothers and fathers as well. Reporter Michael George shows us why there's a need for more attention on the mental health of new dads.
Stephen Hassan loves being a dad to 10-month-old Max. Their family had a difficult journey, with Max being born very premature.
Max was in the NICU for 97 days.
It was months of stress and worry. Stephen says he realized he was suffering from depression.
I had to be strong for my wife and for Max. And so, like the real emotional toll didn't really hit me until we got home. Having feelings of regret. Why did I have this child? I can't do this.
Northwestern University researchers screened parents during their newborn's NICU stay and up to a month after discharge. 33% of mothers and 17% of fathers had depression symptoms. While mothers improved once their babies were home, dads were still experiencing symptoms.
It's possible that dad's depressive symptoms persisted because we really don't talk about it much or even acknowledge the fact that they also might be experiencing some trauma and anxiety and depression in this big shift to suddenly having a premature baby.
Study author Dr. Craig Garfield says dads should be screened more for signs of depression, such as trouble sleeping or increased anger, and they shouldn't be afraid to talk to their partner or a professional.
There's a significant number of fathers out there who do need help. And when you help that father, you actually end up helping that baby and that mother as well.
Max is now happy and healthy. Stephen credits his family and his therapist for helping him.
Mental health as a whole should be, not a taboo topic because it's just like exercise or, eating well.
And a big step in addressing the stigma is talking about it. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Stephen Hassan says he loves being a dad to the 10-month-old Max. Their family had a very difficult journey. Max was born very premature. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the Biden administration further extends a pause on requiring student loan repayments.
And it's still hot outside, but there is a little bit of relief on the way. We're going to break down the forecast next.
Showers.net today.
Warm, muggy, and even a little bit on the breezy side today, but warm and muggy has certainly been the trend for us over the last few days, and unfortunately it is a trend that is going to continue over the next few days, but there's a little bit of relief on the way. You can see where we've been so far. Temperatures getting up there, 90. As of 5 o'clock, 93 in the Joplin area. Toasty for sure, and that's not taking into account the humidity and the dew point. So right now, 7th and Rangeline, not looking so bad out there, as you can see. We'll turn around here. 93, wind still south-southwest, picking back up again, gusting to 23. Not helping though, still feels like 105. Check out that dew point, 76 is what that is. So that breeze is like when you open the oven after you've been baking pizza and you just get that hot breeze that blows on your face. It's not fun at all. Temperatures across the area looking just like that. 90s across most of the area, a couple of upper 80s, Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, even Nevada, not looking as hot as everybody else. But once you factor in that dew point, like I said, 76, look at this, 78 in Neodesha, 78 dew point in Parsons. You know how that feels? It feels absolutely awful. In fact, this goes up to soupy at 75, so awful, miserable is where we're sitting for some of us across the 4 states. And with that dew point factored in, here's those feel-like temperature. 106 in Webb City, 105 down in Anderson, 101 in Parsons, 105 in Neodesha. Unpleasant to say the least. But I've been promising, I keep saying, there's some relief on the way. We're going to get to that. Unfortunately, relief not here just yet. As we look into the overnight, we're going to be 92 by 6 o'clock, 87 by 8, 85 by 10. Maybe a few isolated showers out there overnight. 83 at midnight. We're going to dip that though into the upper 70s for overnight lows. There's that heat advisory. It's yucky. It's not pleasant at all, and it runs, unfortunately, this guy's up here, he's not telling a true story. It runs until Thursday at 8 o'clock, and even some excessive heat warnings in parts of northeast Oklahoma. That's how hot it's going to be. So again, Skywatch Storm Tracker, not a thing out there. As we mentioned earlier, you got to zoom out a bit, and you see these little red boxes pop up right about here. There's some tornado warnings in northern Illinois. Nothing like that in our area, nothing like that on the way for our area, thankfully. In the future, let's take a look down the road. So as we promised, 92 at 6 o'clock. We start moving on down. Starts to cool off just a little bit, if you can call it cool. It is 83 in Joplin. We move into 4 a.m. I wanted to stop there, 79 at 4 a.m. And it does not take us very long to start heating back up. 92 by 1:30, 93 in the afternoon. A few showers, straight thunderstorms out there. We may see 1 or 2 here locally. Nothing, too exciting, unfortunately, for any of us. And so, still 94 on Wednesday, and those future heat indexes not looking too pleasant either. As you can see, they're just looking awful. 106, 105, even upwards of 108 for some of these heat indices across the area. 7-day forecast still showing us much of the same alert days all the way through Thursday with that heat advisory, but looking better. Check out Friday, 93, 90 by Saturday, even 89 by Monday, and overnight lows in the upper 60s. So it's going to feel almost like jacket weather compared to what we've seen over the last few days, but we've still got a couple of days to get there.
Yeah, got to get through this pizza oven weather first, I guess.
We do.
Thanks. The world's leading climate change scientists have issued a stark report about the speed and impact of human-caused global warming. From fires like those that have been raging across Greece and Turkey to flooding and heat waves and drought in the U.S., the UN report says global warming is rapidly hitting every region of the world in an unprecedented way. And the report says it's unequivocal that human activity is to blame, with global carbon levels higher than at any point in at least 2 million years. The report was approved by every country in the world. Coming up, more people are trying to bring banned items through airport security. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Daryl Bridges served in the U.S. Army during World War II. His hometown, Neosho, Missouri, and we salute Sergeant Daryl Bridges, a four-state hero.
Nominate your Frosty.
Top in Consumer Watch, the Biden administration is giving education borrowers one more extension on student loan payments. The extra time will allow people a pause on student loan repayments, interest, and collection until January 31st of 2022. The Department of Education says this will be the final extension. A federal judge sides with Norwegian Cruise Line on so-called vaccine passports. A U.S. district judge ruled that the cruise liner can require proof of vaccination for voyages on its ships from Florida. Norwegian's first trip since the pandemic stopped its operations is scheduled to depart from the Sunshine State on August 15th. Around 2 million passengers are being screened every day at TSA checkpoints, and there's a growing number of people trying to bring items through security that are banned. Max McGee reports.
Summer travelers are often running into longer airport security lines, and this is part of the reason why. Passengers who pack prohibited items.
It slows you down at the checkpoint. A bag check is going to take 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Lisa Farbstein from TSA says this table represents just 3 days of items confiscated at Baltimore Washington International Airport. Across the country, officers are finding more full-size bottles of water, alcohol, and beauty products.
If you want to bring a liquid gels and aerosols in a carry-on bag, it needs to be a 1 quart size bag. 1 bag per person, and the limit on the size is 3.4 ounces.
Dangerous items are also being stopped, including butane lighters and thousands of pepper spray canisters.
Ammunition is also being regularly confiscated, and a growing number of guns are also being found.
At the current pace, TSA will seize about 5,600 firearms by the end of the year, easily breaking the record of 4,400 stopped in 2019. Travelers can search TSA.gov or the My TSA app to see if a carry-on item is prohibited.
Tells you right away whether it can go in your check bag, your carry-on bag, either or neither.
Packing the right way helps ensure passengers get to their flights on time. Max McGee, CBS News, Baltimore.
Passengers can bring wipes on board. 12-ounce bottles of hand sanitizer are also allowed, but will be checked by a TSA agent. There's a new world's richest person. Louis Vuitton owner Bernard Arnault passed Jeff Bezos late last week. Forbes says Arnault is worth $197 billion. That's $4 billion more than the Amazon founder. Tesla's Elon Musk is third at $182 billion. Bezos dropped out of the top spot after shares of Amazon dropped 7%. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more from area colleges about their residence hall policies this school year. Plus, Kansas legislators begin the process of redrawing the state's political boundaries. And it's the opening day of practice for Missouri high school football. We have previews for 2 of the area's top teams. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Look at this. Astronauts and cosmonauts competed in Olympic-style events aboard the International Space Station. As the Summer Games in Tokyo began winding down, the space travelers, they just couldn't resist a little Olympics fever. They were split into 2 international teams, Team Soyuz and Team Dragon. The athletes competed in zero-gravity events such as no handball. They had to move a ping pong ball with their breath. Also synchronized floating and gymnastics. NASA did not report if any medals were awarded.
I certainly feel that that makes the Olympics a little bit easier in zero-G.
I would think so, because you're limited by the confines of the space station, but otherwise tumble and tumble and tumble
yeah,
and tumble.
I mean, I could do some pretty good gymnastics in space.
I think all of us could, for sure. It's going to be hot for a while.
It is. Heat advisories through 8 o'clock. Take a look at that. Heat indexes tomorrow, 105 to 110 for most of us. But relief is on the way in the 7-day forecast, but not soon enough. By this weekend, cooling off a bit, 89 by Monday.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.